Hi, welcome to the Small Shed. This Saturday I'm looking at a Lego themed bedroom we did some years ago. See you in a minute. Now I'll start off with a load of apologies on this one. It was filmed on and off with mainly stills and camera shots on the phone about 2 years ago, before the Small Shed was even thought of, or I had the facilities that I've got now. That's given a couple of problems. Some of the pictures are portrait rather than landscape. Some of the workmanship is not quite what I would expect nowadays. But all the same, I thought it was interesting. It was something that was started by my son-in-law, it must be a couple of years ago now. And I piled in halfway through as usual and thought we could make it a little bit more extensive than just having a ceiling light, if you like, in Lego. And the whole thing ended up being a complete family affair, with everybody doing their bit and making the whole room pretty much solid Lego. So let's have a look. As I say, apologies for some of the shots and that, but I thought it was still of interest. Now the trigger for this was a recent post on the Woodworking UK site that I spend a lot of time on Facebook. And somebody had shown a Lego room that had been made and were going on about how good it was, and it does look pretty spectacular. And it reminded me that a couple of years ago, this is pre-Small Shed, I got involved in doing some work on my grandson's bedroom, which was going to be worked on the Lego theme. And the starting point for this was the big Lego storage boxes that they make to store Lego in, which are like a huge Lego brick. And my son-in-law had got hold of one of these and cut it up, cut a couple of the sections off, made up a new one out of MDF and some circles that he'd cut, put some spotlights in it and made a pretty snazzy bedroom light for it. And that left us with some offcuts of Lego knobs, if you like. And I saw these and thought it might be useful to make some other accessories for the bedroom. And as I had the facilities to resin cast, I dug out the, well, I say Lego, it's fake Lego that I get from Wilko, and I use for making formers, and then I can put the master in, put some RTV rubber in, and then cast off a copy in resin. And that was going to be ideal to make some fake Lego large bricks to make a bookcase out of. So having got that Lego section copied, I then worked out roughly what the sort of size would be for a single Lego brick, so that it would look about right, and transferred that to MDF and marked it all up to make the shelf shapes. As I mentioned, this was pre the Small Shed, pre an awful lot of tools, so I will make a few apologies about the standard on it in terms of workmanship and cutting, but this was all done essentially with hand tools, and I think I used a circular saw or a jigsaw on it, and it was done pretty much in the garden or in a bedroom. So apologies for that, the standards are not up to what I would hope to do today, but we had to work with what we'd got. I did a section which was intended to screw to the wall, which would effectively form a support for the floating shelves. And that was made to slot inside the back of the shelves, and they were all then glued up think I used the Gorilla foam glue because it's fairly forgiving and will gap fill as well. And in those days I didn't know too much about finishing the edges of MDF either, so unfortunately that probably could have had a little bit more time and effort invested in it. But we put the things together, glued them up, and essentially then that gave us the main shapes for 2 shelves. And then I cast some small bolts into the back of the Lego symbols, and what that did was give me something I could then drill a hole in the centre of the shelf and drill the hole through, put these studs on and tighten them up from the back. Took them out into the garden then and painted them with 2 or 3 coats of white emulsion as a base, just to try and get a decent finish. As I say, it could have been improved upon, but it was the best I could do given the circumstances at the time. And then came the task of masking these things off and painting them in different colours, sort of primary colours to give a bit of brightness in the room. But I think that was probably the hardest job of all, getting all the joints square and neat and tidy. There's a small Lego brick. I made a couple of extra ones, just the size of 1 brick, to use as bookends, and I put a couple of metal stud shelf brackets in just to stop them sliding off the end. By now they're getting a little bit poorly and knocked about, but they've stood the test of time reasonably well. As I say, with the actual small bricks, you can see on the end that the end grain fill is not as good as it might be. Having done that, that left me with the thought that we could go on and alter all the furniture in the bedroom by putting Lego knobs on all the doors and drawers. Unfortunately, the actual Lego knob that I had was too small and looked way out of proportion with the normal drawers. So I used the rest of the ring that had been supplied. We'd cut off the back of that box, put them together and filled it, and then made a new master which was bigger, larger diameter, and then followed the same procedure, putting it in a mould and casting from it. And then for the handles, put a sheet of MDF, cut circles out of it, put a bolt through them, dipped them in the back of the mould when it was being poured, and that gave me then a decent sort of handle that could be screwed to the drawer fronts. And then they were all painted and attached to the drawers with a couple of spare MDF circle cut rings as spaces behind them. Having done that, we then had to move on and improve on things, so I got a spare sheet of, I think it's 9mm MDF, and cut out a Lego man using his feet as door pulls on the wardrobe doors. That was painted up, and that gives us a bit of relief on the actual wardrobe door rather than putting Lego knobs all the way up it. And here's the whole room pretty much in its entirety. We also raked in a few other people involved in this one. There was my wife made a Lego quilt and some Lego cushions with Lego heads on them. My daughter painted the walls with Lego figures and Lego bricks. We got some Lego curtains, Lego bed sheets. He's got the standard Lego waste bin which they use for bricks, and I think we converted a lamp out of a Lego head. We made a lamp, I think, in the end. So there you go, easy enough to do that sort of thing using ready to obtain furniture, and actually I think only using 2 or 3 actual Lego items in the build. Hope it was of interest. Look forward to seeing you all next week. We'll try and get something a little bit different again. See you then. Bye.